So hello everybody, welcome to the Clearvision podcast webinar again. So today we've got a special guest and her name is Tilly. Welcome Tilly. And we've also got Jade, who is our sustainability lead and legal lead. So today sustainability's been in the press a lot recently, so we wanted to talk to Jade about why sustainability is important at Clearvision.
Thanks. So I actually asked our CEO this right back when we started this journey, and we talked a lot about the moral reasons and all the ethical reasons that I hope everybody in the world embodies. And we're a great bunch of people at Clearvision, so we all want to do the right thing. I think that's a given. But actually, I think if we're honest, it's a great opportunity. And anybody that's not having a part of that conversation, I think is going to be left out of the marketplace in the future. There's a lot that we can do in the technology sector to combat some of these issues.
And I wonder if we could broaden the topic of sustainability slightly, because I think some people instantly think CO2 emissions and that side of it.
Yeah.
I know that I was talking to our COO recently, and you can really see a future where the younger generation who are coming into the workplace will start to choose where they want to work.
Absolutely.
Based upon that company's general sustainability and impact on the world, I suppose.
Yeah.
So could you broaden that topic out away from CO2 into some of the areas that this topic touches on?
Yeah, exactly. So when we think about sustainability, and there are lots of definitions to the word, what we're really thinking about is not just the planet and those CO2 emissions, but the wider impact as well. So we're talking about people and prosperity for people as well. And when you think about all of these issues, it's easy to see them in isolation, but having a sort of systematic view, you can really see how, for example, the impact of strawberries being shipped from one place to the other is not just an issue of CO2, but the farmers that are working to get those strawberries in front of you are the people that make up that cycle as well, and all of these things impact each other. So it's good to look at holistically.
It is, because they're absolutely interwoven.
Yeah,
you can't
100%.
just solve one of them and that's it done.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you can actually, in trying to solve one issue, if you look at it in isolation, create problems elsewhere in the value chain.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of why it's important we call our Clearvision employees Visionaries. So why is it also important to Visionaries from your perspective?
So I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. It can be quite a heartbreaking place to live at the moment, and I myself, I struggle with this a lot. There's a lot of what people are calling climate anxiety, but I think you know, it's wider than just what we're hearing in the media about reducing CO2 emissions. It is that impact on people on a very individual basis. It's the cost of living crisis. It's what's going on in the political environment. And all of these things can make it quite challenging for people to get up and come to work and to care about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis when there's such big picture problems going on. So I think it's great if, as a company, you can find a place or create a place where people can come in and be their authentic selves and feel that their values align with the company that they're working for. And it just makes it all a bit easier. It's not this conflict going on all the time. And I see that with our Visionaries. It's been great to see them all reaching out and really encouraging to see the enthusiasm and the buzz that's being created as we start to move forward on this journey. And they've got some really fantastic ideas.
Yeah.
And so now they're coming into work and they're doing their day job, but they've got a bit more passion and enthusiasm for what it means in the big picture.
Yeah, and I think that's lovely. And I think it's important, obviously Clearvision, you know, we're about 100 and odd people. It is, you know, we are also relying on these large corporations as well, aren't we? You
Absolutely.
know, the nature of just the size of them, their financial impact, the reach they have. Atlassian themselves have been really forward thinking on this topic.
They've been great, and I regularly watch their podcasts and see what they're doing, and it's great to have a partner that's leading the way, and you can see that they really care. They've got global offices, and as we've got a network that's global, and so a lot of people that we're connected to are really affected by some of the issues that are going on, such as climate change.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we're showing that we understand that, and we're doing things to try and help them contribute to the solution.
Yeah, and particularly at Atlassian, I mean, that comes right from the top. I mean, Mike Cannon-Brooks particularly very vocal about this stuff. You
Yep.
know, he's leveraging his power and the wealth he's created through that business, and that is what we're looking for. We're looking for leaders like that. And it's not virtual signalling, is it? It's like, what can we do that will actually change? And
Exactly.
I think that aligns with that point you were saying, that we're in the UK. If someone says, "Oh, the temperature's going to go up 3 degrees," people think, "Oh, summer's going to be hotter." But it doesn't mean that, does it? It's what's happening in the likes of India and Pakistan just recently, for example. That's where there is genuine devastation going on in this global community at the minute.
There is, and I think sometimes it can be easy to switch on the news and have a slight detachment from what's going on.
Yeah.
But actually, there's really important changes that you can make in your local area as well, that can have an effect on some of the wider issues. And I think that's where businesses really can have an impact in their local communities, and can really actually address in a practical way some of the problems that their local community are facing, even if looking at it as a global challenge is a little bit overwhelming.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking is when you look at the globe, it's a massive place. So just think about what you can do locally. We talked about that just this week, didn't we, in our off-site? It's what can we do to impact 10-mile square radius around the office.
Yeah.
And again, not just thinking about recycling, it's the people, it's the environment, it's starting to measure things as well. Okay, so what do we start? Is an example of things you could start to measure?
Yeah, exactly. So what we've done is we've partnered with a company called Greener, which is a B corporation that helps businesses calculate their carbon footprint.
Right.
Which is really the place that you have to start, because you need to understand your impact before you can start to solutionise it. So we've done that, we've offset our impact, but I think the actual the impact that we're going to have is now moving forward and trying to reduce that number year on year. So we're engaging all of our visionaries through an app which helps them understand their personal carbon footprints, which is part of ours as a business, and really bring to life the ways that they can start to make an impact day to day. So for example, what food they're eating, what products they're buying, how they're travelling, things like that. So they can see the curve change, they can see the impact they're having in a really easy, meaningful way.
Yeah, and we'll put the link to Greener in the comments on the video, because personally I'm fascinated to see what my footprint is. I haven't got a clue.
Absolutely.
I drive a car, I eat a lot of food, I have a big family. It'd be fascinating to understand how that calculation itself is done.
And the idea of it is not to shame people, but a lot of people want to help, but there's a big gap between people's aspirations and getting able to actually do things, because it's very overwhelming and there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation, and so this just enables people to get a proper understanding of what their footprint is and then take changes.
Wonderful, thank you. So another question for you, Jade. How does Clearvision becoming more sustainable add value to our customers?
Good question.
Yes.
So I think this probably has two elements to it. There's the risk management side of things. A lot of our customers are large customers and they've probably already been affected by the regulatory changes, which means they have to carbon account. And it's very difficult to do that if you don't have a clear picture in your supply chain of what the emissions are in your suppliers. So by us taking a more sustainable approach, we have that information readily available. So it reduces the burden on them to track down all of their suppliers and find out that data. The other side to this, I think, is touching back on that opportunity piece that we talked about earlier. Well, technology is not a silver bullet for the problems that we have in the world by any means. In fact, it can come with its own problems, but there's a huge opportunity for innovation. And I think over the next 12 months, we're going to be working with our customers and finding where we can make partnerships to really collaborate and take advantage of some of those opportunities in that market to create real change and address some of these issues.
Yeah, I mean, a vast majority of our customers are doing wonderful things and, really looking to the future. So it is that community that the world's looking to, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And what we do already is help our customers and support them to leverage the technology that they already have. And I think there's a lot more that can be can be done with the tools that we already have, as well as looking to what we can do in the future.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see if Jira can be used in some way. I really am. When we talked about this on Tuesday, I was like, there must be something that you could do in that. I don't know that, by the way, but
I think even on the most basic level, that the tools are there to, as is our motto, free up teams to focus on what matters.
Yeah.
And it's okay, what are those teams then doing with that time? And if your company has a purpose-driven mission, the more time you have to work on that mission, the better. You don't want to be wasting your time fiddling around with admin tools.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's line it up. I've got a little bit of a funny question for you.
Oh God.
So obviously we're walking in nature, aren't we?
It's very lovely.
Beautiful. There's a lovely river beside us. If you could be any animal, what would you be, Jade?
I want to have two, but I think
okay,
that's
I
cheating,
want
isn't
to.
it?
So
okay, fine. Deal.
We'll go with two.
So I think the first one is a bird. I love birds, and being able to hear bird song is something that really helps calm me down as a person. And the other one, we're just flipping back to greener. We're actually launching a competition alongside the app to get people heading in with a really good start. We put everyone into teams, and we've named all the teams after animals. And I have the otters, so amazing. I guess I'm going to have to say otter.
Yeah.
Plus, they like the water, and I'm a water
Yeah,
baby.
that is true. That is true. Okay,
what about you?
As a kid, I've always been fascinated by monkeys.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I did actually have if you ever watched Monkey World, Monkey World's down in the south coast, but there used to be a TV show where they used to show you all the monkeys there, and I actually had one for a year. It never came round for tea though, which I'm very disappointed about. So I think it would.
Did it have a name?
I always wanted my monkey to be called Dave.
Dave.
From being a kid. So that's true, and probably too much of an insight into me. But yeah, so either a monkey, but obviously a monkey in the wild. Also, I think I'd like to be Tilly. Because she's just the prettiest little thing.
She is so cute.
Yes, we all want to be you. She gets all the love in the office, stealing my glory. So yeah, I think I'm going to come back as her. So from a personal level, Jade, what do you think the biggest challenge is in actually leading sustainability in an organisation?
I think there's lots of challenges. I think the biggest one for me is actually accepting that you're not going to get it right all the time. And on a personal level, I find that quite challenging. I think we're still trying a lot of things out, not just us, but the industry as a whole. And so we are going to make mistakes. And I think it's just quickly recognising when approaches aren't working or they need tweaking. And just being a little bit agile in the approach.
Fail fast.
Exactly, fail fast, and just know that that's okay. It's part of the learning process.
And then obviously you've had to focus your efforts. So what are you most excited about in the coming 12 months?
Oh, there's so many things. Obviously the impact that we're going to have, but I think for me it's going back to people and seeing people grow. Like I personally have gone on a journey, and a lot of our visionaries are starting to go on their own journeys, and it's just so lovely, for want of a better adjective, to see them so enthusiastic and want to be involved and wanting to contribute and learning and going on their own journeys, and watching that happen is just, it's great.
Yeah, it is the learning thing. I think it's fascinating to see people are either cynical stroke overwhelmed by it all, and then going, oh, okay, so if I just do that thing locally, that's going to help.
It's that moment when someone gets it and gets behind it.
Yeah.
And that's, like, it sounds cheesy, but that's witnessing change happening on a very real day-to-day basis, and it's great.
And it's not being, like you said, it's not being used as guilt trip or a stick to beat people with. It's like, I think most people aren't aware.
Most people aren't aware, or as you said, they're overwhelmed, and it's, we're talking about really emotional, sometimes very divisive topics.
Yeah, very much so.
And that can be difficult. And I think one of the things I've got comfortable with is just accepting that there's sometimes going to be a bit of conflict.
Yeah.
No one's perfect, nothing's all good or all bad. We live in a very grey world, but it's just navigating our way through that.
Yeah, and I think that's healthy generally, actually, because the nature of the way we communicate these days, unfortunately, everything is tried to be put into a yes
Yeah.
or no, right or wrong box.
Yeah.
So if we can have these style of conversations about this topic, it means we can then have that style of grey-based,
Yes.
opinion about other things, which we won't go into, but I think that's really healthy for people to understand. Long-form conversation is a really important way to discuss challenging topics.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned at the start, my background is in law, and it can be a very black and white
Yeah.
place to operate. So I've gone on that journey myself, and now I'm looking forward to working with other people to bring them on that journey and see what we can do as a result of it.
Fantastic, and we feel very lucky to have you doing it, so thank you,
thanks.
Jade. So yeah, that rounds us up. So I hope that was interesting, a bit of a step to the right in terms of our general conversation, but something which is very much in our world, in wherever you are, whatever job you're doing. So I hope that's okay, and we'll join us next time.
Bye.